we're going to start. I don't know how much you know about gameful design. This is a two-part presentation, as you know. And the first part, and let's start with that. Who attended the first part of this presentation? See? Now I ask questions. Let's move the microphone. Okay. Who attended the first part? Nobody. Nobody attended the first part of this presentation? Okay. Okay, Jesse did. Okay, Santa did. Okay. Okay, you joined late. Not yet. Okay, not yet. I like that answer. Not yet. Okay. And don't say unfortunately, Anna, because we actually have the replay section. So if you have some time and you, instead of watching a Netflix show, you want to have like a whole season of Revolution, you can sit down with popcorn and then enjoy all the workshops that you couldn't attend. Okay. Now, this event is going to be closed in 7 hours. It says time left, 7 hours and 39 minutes. But later we're going to publish all the recordings to our YouTube channel. Okay. Yeah, Revolution Season 2. There you go. So enjoy it. It's fun. So let's see. The first part was very theoretical. Jeff will cover a lot of things, and you're going to see that the presentation is basically, it's very similar. Okay. So I'm going to just cover a little bit of what was said. And this is, I feel alone. Jesse's cooking. That's why she cannot talk to me. But anyway, so some things and key points that Jeff shared. This, you can recognize these slides. Jeff used these slides. I'm just reusing them to give a short introduction. So the first thing is use landmarks to guide the learners. We're talking about backward design and we are talking about gameful design. And both of them work really nice together because we talk about landmarks, and that comes from also video games, or video games call it checkpoints. Okay. Now, and when we talk about checkpoints, it's important milestones where you prove that you can do something. And if you fail moving forward, you don't go back to level 1, for example. And that is something that it's something that when we design a course, it's kind of difficult to do if we don't have too much control over the whole program. But if you teach in a high school, you have more control over that, or in any school, because you have the whole year to actually program this course. When we work, I used to work in a language center. You have month by month cycles. I don't know if you work like that. So if you are in a month to month, this is a little bit more difficult. So you have to think of mini landmarks. Okay. So people are just desperate to tell me there are problems. Okay. Now, in a whole year, a school year, it's easy to do this. Okay. And remember, we don't want to fail them. The idea is that they learn. So that is our mission. Just super quick. This was covered yesterday. This was covered yesterday too. Short-term objectives versus long-term goals. We're going to work a lot on that. Okay, a lot. We're going to design. Actually, I'm going to give you a sample of one, and then you're going to work on 2 other. Okay. So we are going to start with a big goal, and we are going to marvel it down to a little pebble. Okay. And here we go. Frequent feedback. I'm just pointing out some important things that Jeff mentioned, because you're going to see if we are actually covering this in what I'm showing you. Okay. And please feel free to interrupt me at any time, because if you have a question, comment, complain, or you want to contradict me, it's perfect. Okay. I love that. Then multiple ways to solve a problem. That is the most difficult thing to do, but it's one of the most important factors when you talk about gameful design. I use the word gameful design because I don't like the word gamification. A lot of people use gamification and people get confused, and sometimes it is taught in a way that is not the complete concept of like idea of gamification. So that's why I prefer to use gameful design, so to avoid confusions. Okay, and we're going to learn how to do that. Affirmation or performance, and basically we're going to, when it's good to measure it, why is it good to measure performance, is it good for a student or that, if it is good just to work on developing the student and how to do it. Okay, if you want to check one more time, if you want to check more theory about this, check the first part of our presentation in the replay section. Jeff talked a lot about this. Okay, and here we go. This is also from Jeff's presentation, and this is what we want. This is a city, it's completely different. Some people like houses, and you see different things. It has life, okay? It has life. It's a lively city and full of, it's dynamic and all that. And then, as teachers, we came to this virtuality. And well, we are going into high flex classes, hybrid classes. Some of us are still fully online. And then it become more difficult to have that dynamic. Okay, so, and we are tending to go in this direction. So it's because of technology, because of difficulties, or because of methods, we tend to go into something that is more not traditional, but standardized in terms of teaching. Now, which is a little bit contradictory, because it's easier to personalize education when it's online. Okay, it's easier if you know where to go. I know we have our difficulties, internet connection, access to technology and all that, but if you have a minimum, like if you have access to at least a minimum of technology, you can personalize education, because every student you can respect every student's pace and decisions. Okay, the only thing that we need to learn is how to design that course with a different approach. Okay, I repeat okay too much, and nobody says okay. Just Jota. Crazy Jota. No. Okay. Nothing. Okay, no response. Anyway, so this was covered last presentation. So traditional design, you decide on the topic, content, and we talk about the objectives, grammar, and then you create the lessons, and then you assess them. So basically, when you just have a book like that and you just start covering content, and then you try to assess them. So just you go on that direction. What we want to do today is basically the opposite. Okay, so let's see what the students need. Okay, this design doesn't work if you don't include the students. Rule number one. Okay, if you don't include the students in this design, it won't work. It has to be a student centered. We have experience, and we have obviously we teach. We know how to teach. But if you're designing a course without taking into consideration the student needs, and in online teaching, especially if you teach kids, the parents' needs or the difficulties they have, then it's not going to work. Okay, and then you define the evidence of learning, and you structure the class. It's easier to explain that with this. Okay, this is the graph. You're going to see this graphic a lot today. Okay, a lot. You're going to hate this graphic or love it, one of two. Okay, we start with course goals, then we go to the final assessment, and then we talk about the learning outcomes or objectives, and we design the lecture, the homework, class activities, and everything. Okay, so we're going to start with that. We have something in the chat. Let's see. Reviewing. Okay, so the idea of the course goals is to, as I mentioned, is to think of the goals that these students have. Now, the only way to know what goals they have, or what goals the course need to have, is if you actually know the students. I'm going to give you an example, and you're going to help me. Now, starting now, they wanted to review this part. Okay, starting now, I need a lot of interaction, even if you want to jump in with camera and audio, or if you want to do it on the chat. Otherwise, this presentation won't work. Okay. The course goals are the general goals that you're going to set. With example, you're going to understand. Instead of going for the typical goal of learning past, simple past or simple present or things like that, we're going to go for something more functional. Okay. And based on that, we're going to come up with an assessment that is very practical. I normally use task-based learning. I use project-based learning. I use problem-based learning. And you can include traditional tests like quizzes, exams, and all that. Okay, there is no problem about that, but there should be a combination of that. But our final assessment is always a mission to accomplish, because they have it's language. Language is to communicate. Okay, and then based on that, you start actually uh, identifying the learning outcomes, more specific objectives about vocabulary needed, grammar needed, expressions or skills needed. And normally, when I know we are English teachers, but there are going to be lots of times that we are actually going to teach students um, skills that go farther beyond that. So it's like teaching English and beyond. And then you go into lectures, class, lesson plans, what activities you're going to use. Now, this is backward design, and we are going to spice it up with gameful design a little bit. Okay, I don't want to confuse you that much, but I'm going to give you a hint, a beginning of how to do this. And here is where we start. Step one of this is mixing things of backward design with gameful design. I have used this slide in many different presentations because I love to explain gameful design with this. You have three components, okay? The first one is the most difficult one to include in general, which is choice. Students decide where to go, how to do it, from a number of options or alternatives that the teacher provides. So basically, they control the class. They control the pace, okay? Now, that sounds scary, but I'm going to show you three different ways of provide this autonomy, okay? The second one is challenge. How difficult you make your class, okay? If it is too easy, and that happened in online teaching sometimes when it is too easy, we went from lecturing on synchronous classes and then homework on asynchronous. So you do something and then they use Kahoot maybe in class, or they use Flipgrid, or they use Quizlet. So it becomes too simple and too monotonous, and they lose motivation. Or we make it too difficult for them, not necessarily because of the activity, but the technology access. And they get frustrated and they lose motivation. So when you talk about gameful learning, you're not talking necessarily about a method to teach itself, but to generate motivation. Okay. And the next one, yeah, we can use different tools. Okay. I can mention different tools, and I'm going to show you a couple. But the most important thing is that you focus more on the method and the strategies that you have and your student. And based on that, you start picking the right tools for them. For example, and I'm going to give you a real example. What you're going to see is my class that I did. The last picture with people there with the hands is because people get motivated when they relate. Okay, when they relate, and that has become very difficult in an online setting. Okay, in an online setting, it's very interaction is a key component in language learning, but it's very difficult to make people interact when you have an online class. Like, think about now. I tried to interact with Jessie. We did it at the beginning, but she's actually cooking. So she doesn't want to be distracting. We can have a cooking class. And then some of you are in the chat and you are posting things like that, but I want you to speak. So this is how you feel when you have a class. You ask your students, okay, you ask a question and they don't respond. Okay, because of many reasons, internet connection, they are shy, they don't know the answer. And it's different, but because when you have those issues in the classroom, they call you and they say, teacher, come here. And then you could actually help them. And we don't have that. Well, we think we don't have that in online teaching, but we do. Okay, I'm going to show you a tool that is super cool about that. But anyway, you have to find ways for them to relate, to be part of a class, to interact. I know breakout rooms is one of the things. If you use Zoom, Google Meet has breakout rooms too. Microsoft Teams, but they don't work as the class. You can tell me, you put groups of 5, it's even if you have small groups of 3 in breakout rooms, it's not the same. Okay, it's completely different. Now, so we need to include this. How? Let's go for that. We told you that this was a little bit more practical. So let's start with practice. This is my class, okay? I'm going to start with a very real example. This is my class. It should be college students, but let's think about this person, okay? College student, he's studying business administration, and his current level is B1. His name is actually Alvaro, and probably you can meet him in the help desk. I don't know if today he came to help because he's good at English, and he decided to help and volunteer in the conference. He was in the help desk yesterday and the day before yesterday. So this is not his real picture, but he's a college student, business administration, and his level is B1. I told you we need to learn about the students, so let's start asking you questions. If you have this profile of a one-to-one class or even a group, okay, what do they need? What do they need to learn from English? Like what goals would you think? So I'm going to be quiet, jump in, vocabulary, okay. You can put it in the chat or jump in to have a conversation. What do they need? Okay, we can ask them. I don't know if he's in the help desk. We have one person jumping in. Okay, let's see. Interaction. Okay, they need interaction. Grammar. Yes.
Hello, may I say something?
Yes.
Actually, people who are designing courses for business administration students, they have to think about role plays as it's a way, or simulations. That's a way to get the students motivated, and they can engage their interests as well. Or another way to do such things is to invite from the students to have a lot of presentations based on their interests. Or if it is in the business administration, about the products they want to present in the future. As even some ways we can have a kind of exhibition of their products, so that they can have a poster carousel to present their products. I think the activities or the ways that people present things can play a very big role in designing and motivating the students more and more and get them connected.
There you go. Many things mentioned there. I like the thing about presenting a product, because you are thinking about not necessarily the language goals. You're talking about what they need as a business administration college student. So that is what we need to think first. But let's see. We're going to see. I like what you have said. We mentioned they need to learn grammar. That's for sure. Okay. They say interaction. That's for sure. I'm going to read how to introduce themselves. Very good. And it's different to introduce yourself when you're in a social setting than in a business setting. Communicate in this language. Okay. Carol, how about it has to choose between several different topics? Excellent. Now, we have to give them choice, but we have to control that scenario, because we as teachers know what they can learn, what they can do, because they are B1 students. Okay, so if we control the choices, we show them the right path. This is like they are Padawans, if you like Star Wars, and you are the Jedi master that knows which path they want to, and you don't want them to go to the dark side or get confused. Too many options are confusing. We usually follow the scope and sequence of a course book. I used to do that. It's possible to do it with a book, but you have to modify some of the activities. Okay.
May I say something else?
What?
May I say something else
Yes,
for getting information about their interests and get them involved in the path of designing the course and curricula? Even we can present them menus of different things we want to work, like the number of options they have, like 10 options, and they're going to choose 5 out of 10 options for studying and for designing for the current term.
Good. We're going to talk about giving those choice now. Don't be scared. Like, is it more work for me? Do I have to be prepared to teach 5 different things? It's not. Okay. It's we have to control. In a game, you have choice, but who gives you the? But it has also boundaries. There is no game without boundaries. Okay, so it is like creating a game. I'm talking about B1 to B2. What I was mentioning, it's very important that they get to a B2 level. Most of college students, they want to go into an MBA later. And well, all of the MBAs, if you don't live in the US or Canada or UK, they're going to ask for an international exam, and normally it's a B2 level exam. So it's important that it's not only their choice, but it's also your experience as a teacher to know what they actually need to know. Basic expressions to participate in class and to interact with each other, and moreover during breakout rooms. So that is part of what we prepare them. We prepare them to navigate this online world. Okay, now so I'm going to go into the next slide, which we were discussing, and I picked two. Okay, I picked two here. It says navigate himself in the business world. Some of you mentioned that, and achieve the level to apply for an MBA. And Leonora mentioned that. Okay, so these are two big goals that you have in your course. Now, which goal they are going to achieve, it also depends on the term, because if it is we have six months, we have a year, we have 1 month, it would depend. And so that is like a super big goal that we are going to narrow it down. Okay, we are going to narrow it down. So think about a learning unit. Okay, we call it a sprints. And we are going to choose navigating himself in the business world. In other words, when you navigate yourself in the business world, what do you think is your main objective? If they are college students and they finish university, and what do they want to do? What do they want to do? What do you do if you are a business or any college students? You finish your study.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Definitely, they want to work. I mean, they want to create a company. They want to perhaps get involved in a community in which they interact with other colleagues. And the opportunity that they have with English is that they could do it with colleagues from all over the world. So their main goal is that is to have a business, or create one with a partner, something like that.
There you go. So they,
Maria,
yes, Mohammed.
Sorry. And I think one big score for them to achieve is to be able to pass a lot of interviews with different companies, because being in the position of an interviewer or an interviewee, both have got to takes a very big deal with their business and English skill at the same time. So that's something. That's the first step to take the jump for the other way, and to cast a light on the path is to be able to have a lot of different skills in interviewing and presenting your skill.
Very good. So it's actually what I have here. See, you're good. You could be designing courses. So this is to get a job, basically. The Maria Pilar mentioned to get your degree, which is good. First, you have to get your degree, and then you have to obviously get your job. Or even before that, they can actually have an internship. Okay. And they obviously, to do that, they have to be able to use language in real situations. So we have already identified the goal to get a job. They are going to navigate themselves in the business world. But step one is to get a job. Okay, so that is our goal, get a job. And now I have to admit, Jessie mentioned this. It's not necessary that you get a job, because she mentions two alternatives. One is that I go to work into a company. Two is that I start my own business. So that is one point where you can actually start making them choose. But if you check the skills and language abilities that you need for both alternatives, it's basically the same. Being able to talk about your product or yourself and your talents, to sell the idea, or if you're applying to a job, to sell your qualities, sell yourself pretty much to land that job. So it's not that different, okay? It's just the most thing that is going to be different there is the vocabulary. Now, I have to admit that I am cheating when I pick this topic, because I actually am an edupreneur. So I know the process of how to actually go into this business world and make mistakes, all of that. And I bring my experience to the students. So that's why it's really engaging, because they're actually learning from the real world. And don't mention this, if you find my student in the help desk, is that they have told me that they are learning more in the English class than at the some of the university classes of their course, because they are learning real life business, okay? And that is the thing. So long term, how do you assess? What would be, don't think about the grammar, don't think about language. What would be an ideal final assessment for this? To get a job, how would you assess your student?
By perhaps simulating a job interview. I know it doesn't have, I mean, it could be part of it, part of the assessment task, or I don't know, working in groups and create kind of a situation in which they have to, create a CV and be part of that context. I don't know, something like that.
Okay, good. So role plays, how to answer specific questions in an interview, how to and so this is what we did. This was the assessment. Right now they're about to pass that assessment, and I'm going to show you. Let me stop sharing this to share another thing. We did this. I'm going to show you the experience of the students. So let's see. Everybody knows, I don't know, honestly, I make mistakes pronouncing this. LinkedIn. Okay. So we make them do this. So they actually got into LinkedIn and they look for jobs. So if you click on jobs, you can actually put internship like this. And they can say like, okay, I want it remote. Okay, and you have options. Obviously, we put business internship, and I told them, don't think about Peru. Why don't you try USA? And boom, and they start choosing. So one more time, I gave them choice. Pick the company that you want to apply to. And they start looking because of their experience, the volunteering experience and things like that. And they found the internship. Mission number one before we start was to pick. And they chose, and we work with this. So that was the starting point. Where do you want to apply? Okay, where do you want to apply for a job? And it was real. Okay, they get super involved in that, and then they say like, get involved with, what is the question? Creating your elevator pitch is also, no? That is if you are actually going to be elevator. We included elevator pitch in part of our sessions, okay? So we had this LinkedIn thing. First thing, choose the company. I know all the companies that they have selected. They send me the link of the application posting, and we start working with that. And they were super motivated because the task, actually, the final assessment of that unit was to show me that they have actually applied. And right now we are in the middle of waiting for the answers, and they are super motivated because I honestly think that some of them may land this internship, and they can actually tell their friends, hey, I'm going to start an internship in an American company, and it's remote. And the nice thing is that they may get paid. So motivation was super high. Okay, super high. Now, if we're talking about we select a company, that was the first thing. Cool. Then what do they need to do to actually be successful? I told you, I want them to land a job. What do they need to know? What do they need to know? I already talked about the choice. They were choosing which company they wanted, if they wanted to have an internship. Is this assessment graded? Yes, everything is graded. So we have different assessments. We have different tools. The first one is we started with the easiest one, a resume. They had to write a resume. So we went over the structure of a resume and all that. The second one was to have a very solid LinkedIn profile, which is different. You take some information from the resume, but it's not the same. Then we cover redundant, a cover letter. Okay, and then finally we went into the job interview that some of them have actually landed. They have gone into that stage. And how did we do the job interview? We work with something called elevator pitch, but instead of doing an elevator pitch for a product, they were doing an elevator pitch for themselves. Okay, and we have rubrics for all that. And then you can work on the objectives. Okay, the objectives, pretty simple. No. Let's go back to this. If you're talking about resume, if you're talking about all the things related to a cover letter, talking about you, what grammar do you need to use? To give you an example, simple past. What other grammar you may need? Present simple, to talk about your skills, what you do. Okay, you simple past, present simple. What else do you need? Nothing else? Okay. Modals, present simple, present continuous. So it's basically a review of tenses. Can, to talk about ability. So we start sentence structured on a resume. Yes. There is Jeff. Jeff is hiding in the back, and he's not coming to have a conversation here. Incredible. Anyway, so we focus on that. We discover a lot of things. They started discovering about how different it is to write a resume in Peru compared to another country, about cultural difference, how to be assertive. Actually, being assertive in our culture can sometimes be considered a little bit rude. So it was a lot. There was a lot of content to cover. We work with present perfect was important because you talk about experience. And that's when we started choosing the learning outcomes. And then we obviously we have an order to teach that based on the final product. So the first one was the resume, then we went to the cover letter, LinkedIn profile, and finally the job interview. But in all of those steps, we had all the skills. We covered all the skills. Even if we're talking about resume or cover letter, they had opportunities to do this elevator pitch that they practice and they practice and they practice and they practice. And one of the things that we focused a lot on was question making. It's super difficult to make questions. Even it's more difficult to make questions than to answer them. So we focus a lot on that. It has taken us a while. I'm telling you, we finished this last week. Okay, last week. And the funny thing is that we finished it, 2 weeks ago. Because last week, 2 weeks ago, and some of the students have already received the confirmation to go into the job interview. So imagine the motivation. Okay, if you find that key goal that is going to make them feel motivated, boom, teaching is easy. Okay. Now, so far, I'm not talking about anything about online, and you can tell me, yeah, but you can do it in the class. How do I make the discussions? I have 40 students, I have 20 students, all that. So I have gone with a very simple example on how I actually structure this course, and we haven't finished. We haven't finished because we already assessed applying for a job, and now we are going to teach them how to actually do business. And they are they're engaged. I should show you recordings of those class. I think it's a class that it's so engaging to participate in. And then maybe your question is, how do they participate if you have the students online? Okay, so I told you about choice. I'm going to stop a little bit here. This is taken from Gameful pedagogy, and autonomy is key for motivation. The first thing is autonomy through collaboration or not. This is going to be with internet too and technology. If you force them to work in teams all the time, it's going to be a little bit demotivating because of technology. Some students have more access to internet, some others, or to laptops and things like that. So asking them to meet in teams virtually can be complicated. So you have to actually be prepared to have a version of a project, for example, that is in teams or in groups. We normally use the word teams instead of groups, versus one that is individual. Obviously, the degree of difficulty, Jeff mentioned that in the first part of our presentation, you have to have different levels. It's different to complete something alone that to do it in teams. And we have to bring that confidence up because they're going to be shy. And I'm going to show you a tool. I'm promising this since the beginning that is going to help build up that confidence in speaking without being surrounded by all the class. The other one is autonomy through submissions. This is easy. This is the easiest. Final project, or you have different assessment tools, and how do you present this? So you're going to do the elevator pitch, for example. You can do it live. You're going to do it live in class. Yes, teacher, I'm going to do it live. Okay, you can do it. You can record a video and send it. Cool, you can do a video. You're going to present with PowerPoint, without PowerPoint. You're going to use a tool called Video Ask that I'm going to show you. So they actually pick how they want to present, but you have to be careful on those choices so you are assessing basically the same. So the rubric is going to work, okay? But they choose. It's super important here in technology because some people have more resources than others. So if you force them to do something, then it's not going to be good. And now you may think that, okay, if a person does it live, they should receive more points. It could be. It's a decision that you make. You can have a bonus track, a bonus for students that do something more difficult. But that is extraordinary students that can do something. What is not fair is that, like, imagine this is the level, the maximum level that you can reach, and then a student does something extra. So you can give that extra thing to him. But if a student is struggling a little bit, but with effort gets here, then you cannot tell them, no, you didn't present it live, so you cannot get the highest grade. That won't be good, okay? Everybody should have the possibility to get the highest grade, no matter how they present it from the alternatives that you actually give them, okay? So it's like having, I'm terrible at pronouncing this word, a threshold there. And then you have autonomy through assignment selection. And that is the most difficult one. So that's why I have a slide on that. This. I work with lots of points. Okay, don't get me crazy. You can change this to work with whatever. This is also an example taken from gamefulpedagogy.com. So you need to receive 1,500 points to receive an A, okay, in this course. They can be made up of a combination of, and you have exams, paper, quizzes, group project, individual projects. What you're giving them is actually choice. If you add the number of points that you have more than 3,000, almost 4,000 points, I think, but you need 1,500 to pass. Now, will they be able to complete all the tasks? I do not think so, but you give them a choice of, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Obviously, the exams are super important and the group project too. So, but it means that they can actually choose their path. I'm going to do, from the 5 quizzes I have, I'm going to do 3. And I am going to complete 1 paper, study for the exams, and do an individual project. Perfect. If you do it well, you're going to get the grade. So they choose their path, okay? They choose their path. Most of the time at the beginning, they can choose between a group project or an individual project. I told you about the difficulty too, okay? And that's why there is a difference in points. You can change this to whatever you use. if it is from 0 to 20, to A, B, or C. But I love using thousands of points because it becomes more like a game. But more than the points is the actual ability to pick, how am I going to pass this course? How am I going to learn? How am I going to be assessed? And as you see, you're giving them choices. Okay, it's not that, teacher, I'm going to do this in this course. No, they have choices and they have paths. This is easily done in a spreadsheet. Don't worry, okay? But no comments so far. I think everybody's having lunch. Or maybe they started visiting Eleonora with the barbecue. She mentioned she's having a barbecue. Okay. Yeah. So we already got this. We have the learning outcomes, all that. I said that before time. And this is something that you're going to love. This is just a picture. Okay. And these are 6 of my students. This is another class. It's a small class because we are doing an activity. And Alvaro is there. Okay. And I'm here with the same t-shirt, but I took a shower. Who can tell me what is the name of this tool? Nobody? Ooh. Go branch? No. Are you saying that we no? Okay. So I'm going to show you. I hope I don't break the internet with this. Okay. This tool is super, super cool with large groups. If you want to have discussions, if you want to practice role play, if you want to pretend you have a job interview. So anything that we were talking about with my students of business, okay? Yeah, maybe you are going to describe a place. I'm going to go live in this, okay? I'm going to go live. So let me stop presenting this. And let me present, hopefully I don't break the internet with this. Let me present this. I'm going to mute that side. And I'm going to be there. Okay. So now you're seeing me. And I am actually moving around. Okay, nobody is here in this world. Okay, I can invite somebody maybe. And I can navigate this world like this. Honestly, this takes less bandwidth than Google Meet. Okay, it's incredible how it works. So far it's nothing special, just me walking around. Okay, I don't know. Are you seeing me walking around? Yes. Okay. And you have different places that you can go. The nice thing about this is that if you are with people, let's see an example. Jeff, you're going to help me, okay? So I'm going to invite Jeff. I'm going to invite Jeff. Where is this? I'm going to try to invite Jeff. Copy the invite link. So we're going to try to invite Jeff here. Okay, send message. And this place is called Gather. Let's see if Jeff can come in super fast. This place is for video calls. The special thing about this is that when you have more students, you only talk to the people that are near you. So let's, for example, if I am sitting down here, and I have 3 students sitting around me, I can only talk to them, and I can only listen to them. So what I do is I say, okay, Juan, Pepito, and Lucia, go to the other room and discuss. And if they are in the other room, I just walk to them, and I sit down, and I listen to them. And the other group is just talking in another place. And you don't see any cameras or any audios of the people that are far. Now, let's see if Jeff is actually able to join us. Let's see. No, okay, we'll wait. I will come back to this. So, and then you have places where you can sit down with everybody, like this picnic table, and you can have your class like this. Or, if you prefer, you go to a place like this, a big table, and you can actually use a whiteboard. So it's literally like a class. You may say, no, this is okay, Jeff, if you're in Gather, create your profile and then go. There you go. let's see. You're going to see this. Probably there's. I'm going to find. I'm going to find Jeff. And there you go. And there you go. And there you go. And there you go. It's because you are with. You're listening to me in two places. Or me. Okay, now. No. I muted this site. I cannot talk to you right now, Jeff. But if you see, I met with Jeff and I can talk to him. And then if I don't want to talk to him, I just walk away and he just disappears. Okay. So it's super cool because that is basically when Go Branch is similar. Yes. It's basically something that helps you recreate what you do in a classroom. You have students in groups, and then Jeff is coming. See, and then he went away. And you can have private conversations if you sit down. And then the thing is that, teacher, I need help. They can call you in the chat. You go, you talk, and then the closer you are, and then you can see the camera. If I sit down with Jeff, is just playing around. So this help us with the pitch, the elevator pitch, discussions, role plays, and all those things that we have there. And without having that problem of it's free. It is free. Okay, you have a limit of number of students that you can have, but I think it's up to 40. And you can create as many worlds as you want. This is a small one. You can have a beach. You can have like lots of things. You can have different, and you can create your own. You can use demos or things like that. So this is a powerful tool to create this discussion environment, which I think was the thing, what was missing in my business English class. And Jeff is actually saying you can use different things. He's coming. I'm not listening to you, Jeff, but you can be there. I'm watching you. There you go. Can I show the site? I can give you the link. It's super. It's gather.town. I'm going to put it in the. It's there. I think Jeff left. I know it's sitting down. Okay, so use it. The first time it's going to take a while because you have to create your avatar and things like that. But honestly, I told my students in my class, do you want to use Meet or Gather? And nobody went back to Meet. Okay, we are having all the classes here. We have discussions. We can have presentations. We can have everything here. So that's why everything that we designed worked well, because we were using the right tool. At the beginning of the talk, you told me that one of the things that you wanted to include was role play, discussions, all that. And that works for every single class. But the difficulty is that if you have 20 screens at the same time, even if it's 20 or 40 people connected, not all of them are going to participate. So probably if we had this discussion in Gather, we will have lots of conversation in small groups. Who knows? Okay. Now, the other thing, just to clarify some ideas. Let me see. Do I still have time? Yes. I think I have 10 minutes. So the other thing that I want to tell, and nobody commented. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you is this. So I'm going to show you another tab. We use this to help the students. It's called Symbaloo. So you can have, it started like this, okay? It started like this so they can have all the resources that they want. It's just for having this. But Symbaloo mutated. Sorry about that. It happens in the best families. To this. And I always use this to tell students that they have a choice. So for example, you can put something like this. What do you want to do? Okay. And yes, I don't want to search. And then create my own result. I'm going to put it just super fast. So I have the first thing. It could be a task. It could be an assessment. All the, sorry, internet kicked me out. Let's go for a new one. Okay, there you go. This is better. So I can actually have this, and they can visit a website and learn something about how to write a LinkedIn profile, and then you have a task, and from that task they have a choice. You can have 3 different options. Like you can say option 1, okay, or you can say option, and then you can go back to this, and then you can have option 2. And obviously you can write many details, and you can go back here again, and you can have option 3. And based on that, they can create their own paths. Now, the idea here is that they choose what they do. It could be a different task, it could be a group work. So imagine this is a project, and it could be the other type of autonomy. Maybe to present a group project, an individual project, maybe to do it live, to record a video, to use a PowerPoint to present or whatever. But then they have it clear that they have alternatives to do this. Or maybe you can say the final exam is this amount of points, this is the other one is a different kind of points, and you can continue. Now, if you want, then you can create another one. I do this just to show them that they have alternatives. This is the key point of gameful design, having different paths. Okay, so I can actually go farther and tell them that, okay, after you complete this task, you can go here, and then you continue with this, and you can keep on moving, and you have a complete path. This is the graphical representation of a learning path. This is how a learning path, when you use gameful design, looks like. It's not one line. They can actually choose. They have different paths to choose from. But who creates those paths? You give them choices. That is the way you actually do this. Now, I was going to, but we're running out of time. I was going to give you homework, like, and because this was the next, check this. This was the next slide. This. So we're going to do super fast in 1 minute, and we can pick between a kid or a teenager. Who do you want to teach? Boom. I was going to do this, but we don't have enough time. And then we were going to do this, the same thing. But you have the idea with the business students, and that's the important thing. Remember, we're talking about goals. Start with, and you cannot teenager. Okay, you want to work with a teenager. That's a good thing. When you talk about teenagers, find the same thing. Okay, they don't want to have a job. What do they want? Why do they want English to use for? To get friends? Both of them. Yeah, I work with kids too. For example, I give you an example of goals. Little kids, they want to play. So my objective of my learning goal is basically play. Teach them how to play a specific game. Or teach them how to do a specific experiment. Teach them how to create a story with Legos. Okay, so if that is your goal, then you pick a game, and that is your assessment. So instead of thinking of an exam of all that, a traditional exam that you can include, your goal becomes something more real. Okay, they want to socialize, become influencers, post on social media. So why don't you tell them, let's become a YouTuber and record some things? Like, for example, this, and they have to learn how to use these kind of tools that I'm using right now. And then how do you do that? Okay, so you have to create, if you want to become a YouTuber, then you have to learn those skills. And then you can show other people how to do that. Okay, teenagers want to graduate from university and travel. What does imply to travel? Create those situations. Okay, do you have a passport? No. How do you get a passport? So they can actually start those kind of real life things, and that would be your assessment. Okay, your assessment, if your assessment is connected with the real life thing, it's easy to motivate them. And then you just break it down on what knowledge, what content they need to learn. Okay, I think I'm done with time. I don't know if you are still there. I know Jeff is there, but it's also I think it's also playing in Gather. No, he left Gather. Okay, so unless you have questions, that's basically what I had to share. I hope I was practical enough, but some people say that most of the time I'm impractical. But even if I was practical or impractical, I hope I can help you to give an idea of how to design your courses in a different way. That's my email if you want to write. And think also on choice. The best thing you can do is to let them choose and find something that motivates them to learn. And try the two tools. I show you two tools that are super powerful. If you want to go for one, use the Gather. Bonus track. Do we still have people here? Yeah, we have 23 people still connected. I'm going to show you a tool that I use for my students, with my students, and it's not intended to be for education. That's why it works so good with them. Okay, it's not intended to be for education. So this is called Video Ask. Okay, so this is called Video Ask, and it's super fun. Okay, it's super fun because actually I send this to some presenters, and this is a video. Okay, and you start talking, and you can record your answer, or in some cases, for example, in some cases they can answer by typing, they can record an audio, they can record things, and it's free. And you can do as many as you want, and it's super cool because you can make them interact in a different way. This was intended to be for marketing. Okay, the name of this is Video Ask, but we have been using it a lot with the students, and we have more responses in Video Ask than in other apps. It's easy to use. It doesn't feel that it's a class. You can gather all the information. They choose to respond on video, audio, or writing. And it's pretty similar to Flipgrid, but since it's for marketing, it works better. Okay. So anyway, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the presentation.